Hey everyone, Mr. Macintosh here, and today we're going to talk about the macOS Big Sur 11.0.1 release candidate. It's live. We're getting very close to the Apple event on November 10th. It's on Tuesday. We're only a couple of days away. It is really getting exciting here, and I'm going to go over all the resolved issues, all the new known issues, all the standing issues, and some of the new user reported issues with the release candidate. I'm also going to talk about sizes, full installers, Delta combo updates, all that stuff. So stay tuned. Let's get started. 11.0.1 Beta 1 was released on September 28th, so Beta 2, or release candidate, comes out not even a week later. And I wanted to talk, while I mentioned release candidate, I wanted to talk about that real quick because Apple here, as you can see, and this is their developer news page, has now mentioned this. Note, the term release candidate, RC, has replaced the old Golden Master or GM seed that indicates this version is near final. The Gold Master seed has been used all the way back to System 7. System 7 was one of the first CDs that was considered a Gold Master release. They printed it, and when it was printed on CD, that means it was done and it was shipping to users. So that's where that original term came from. So notice how it says this version is near final. Now keep in mind, that means that if this version is good enough where it doesn't have any huge issues in it, they might ship this on Tuesday. It's not guaranteed, but I'm almost gonna bet that on stage Tim Cook's gonna say macOS Big Sur 11 is available for download today at that event, and I'm guessing that 11.0.1 will be available to all users. And as I mentioned in the last video, the Apple Silicon devices are already produced, sitting in boxes waiting for shipping. I'm guessing pre-orders are going to go Friday, and then they're going to start shipping, and they've got 11.0 on it. I can almost guarantee you. We'll see for sure once they start shipping, but that's why it's going to 11.0.1. So that's kind of the new versioning that we're looking at here. So let's go back here. A couple users are still reporting issues with the beta not showing up in software update, and this has been a continuous problem throughout the entire beta cycle, and that's why this article has done so well, because everybody's still trying to figure out why that's not working. Quickly enough, all it is that you have to reinstall the beta profile. As soon as you do that, then it shows up. So for example, if you go into system preferences and you're looking at software update and it shows that you're up to date, and it's going to show here which you're either going to be in the public beta or you're going to be in the developer beta. And if it doesn't show the update, all you need to do is go to the developer site in the public beta or the developer site, log into your developer account, reinstall the beta, and you'll get the update right here. And it'll actually say release candidate, and this is what it should look like. And I wanted to mention that it does say release candidate on there. And a couple of the public beta testers were asking the same question. They were saying, does it actually say release candidate? And it does for public beta testers, because normally the developer beta comes out like today, and the public beta comes out tomorrow. But in this case, the developer and the public release were released today. So that's why you'll see both developers and public beta testers will see release candidate 11.0.1 in software update. As you can see here, I've kept a track of all the previous beta releases here, from the very first release that was released at WWDC 2020 on 6/22, and this is the 12th release here. So we're actually right on track with what Catalina did. Catalina actually had 12 releases too before they went to Gold Master. So we're really close to the way Catalina was rolled out last year. So now let's talk about the installer info. This is different because the last two, 11.0.1 Beta 1 and Beta 10 and Beta 9, had installers come out the next day, full installers. Today, though, we've got a full installer app that is available right today. It's 11.98 gigabytes, and it's available through install macOS, or just using the download option in software update. So let me show you that. I've actually got that pulled up here. So we'll take a look at this version first. As you can see, the build version is 20B5022A 11.0.1. So let's look at that, because I wanted to show you that. So this is a script that was built by Greg Nagel, and he put this out there so the Macintosh admins that work in companies to be able to download the full installers to be able to test on deployments He built this so we can get that easily, because sometimes Apple makes it hard, or there's problems with getting it to the App Store. So I'll show you what this script does. So when we run this script here, it'll give us a listing of all, oops, and I forgot, I need to give it the seed program option, and then developer seed. Let's try that here. There we go. And what it's going to do is going to check all the software update servers, and I'll show you what that looks like, and give us a listing what's available. And look at this. Here's our sweet beta release candidate. So you can see that it was released today. You got the build number right here. And all you need to do is click number 2, and it'll immediately start to download that right from Apple servers, build it, and put it into a DMG in your home folder when it's done. Really great. I'll put this in a link down in the description for you guys to test out if you want to be able to get the beta, or multiple. You can look at how many builds you got here. You got a multiple Catalina builds. So this is a really great tool to be able to get full installers. So the Delta update is from 11.0.1 Beta 1 all the way to Beta 2. Again, the Delta update only does one previous update behind. That's why it's smaller, 2.81 gigabytes. If you go from Beta 1 to 10, you're going to see 4.50 gigabytes. T2 Bridge update was also update for your T2 Macs, and that was updated to 11.16, 12.560, and it's 443 megabytes here. And as you can see, the previous Beta 11 was 12.551. So that's it for the sizes of the updates. All right, now that we finished going over the sizes of the Delta Combo Full Installer and the BridgeOS update, let's talk about the install process. I talked a little bit about the install process in my previous Beta 1, 11.0.1 video, and I talked about how the install process has been taking a long time. So we'll pull up that screenshot here. The problem was that once I clicked the Update Now button, it would take the time to download the update first, and that's no big deal. That takes a little bit of time depending on your internet connection. But the problem was it would go into this like preparing mode, and in the previous 3 releases, it would take almost an hour for the update to go get out of preparing status before it even rebooted. So in this case, I did the update a little bit different this time. So I went into, and I'll show you this. I went and I used software update list, and then I did install all. I did a software update list. It showed me the release candidate right here, and then I did a download all. And what that does is that uses a software update binary to download all the updates that were just listed there. Now I had a choice after that was done. I had a choice of either going back into here, into the software update, and then clicking on install all here, or running the binary. Now keep in mind, this is another way you guys can run this if you have problems with doing it in the GUI. Notice how I have to put sudo here, and that's only because I issue the capital R. That issues a restart. So I for install, A for all, and then capital R for restart. Now, if you have a non-T2 device, you don't have to worry about like restarting or anything. You can just go up to Apple and restart your system. If you have a T2 system that needs to perform the BridgeOS update, you'll get a warning that says that you need to halt your system or you need to do a shutdown. And that's the only way to kick off that T2 BridgeOS update properly. So if you just did an install all and then just did a Apple to restart, that's when you would have some problems. So the capital R will know which kind of machine you have and handle it the way the shutdown needs to go. In case I did not run, or in this case I did not run this way, I went back into here and I clicked install all. And the interesting thing is there was no preparing. It immediately rebooted out of the system to a progress bar within Apple and started to say preparing the install. But that only took about literally 3 minutes, and then it rebooted to install the T2 update. Because you can tell when the system is blank and black, that's meaning that the Intel side is shutting down and then installing the BridgeOS update. And then the screen comes back up, and then it moved to installing the 11.0.1 release candidate. And the best part about this was that only took about 20 minutes this time. So I was really happy about how this went. But again, I did it differently. I should have probably just went in here. So you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments if you guys went through the GUI. Did it go okay for you? Did it go fast? Was there a preparing? Let me know. I'm very curious to know what you were able to find. So we'll close this out here. And we're going to jump into some of these outstanding issues that have been reported by users. So let's pull up our notes here, and I'll zoom in a little bit on this. So the first thing is that the public beta is live. And in the past, I would always talk about the full installer. The full installer would come out a day later after the developer beta was released, and then the public beta was released, and that's how the full installer came with it. This time, the public beta release was made live the same day and the same time that the developer was released. So that's really cool because we don't have to wait for a full installer. It's all available for everybody to enjoy. So that showed up in, let me zoom out here. There was actually a lot of questions on that. They were asking the public beta release users were saying, what does it show up? What is the name of it? Does it say public release? And no, the answer is it actually says release candidate for the public beta users too. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that if you're on public. So the next thing that was mentioned was, so we'll check mark that off, that there was some issues with passive USB hubs not working. Well, now what do I mean by passive? That means that it's not powered by an external power supply, or if you're plugging in your Apple power adapter through the hub to power it. So I've got an Anchor one here, and I've got a USB flash stick, and I'm going to plug it in and make sure we don't have any kind of an issue here. So let's plug this in. We'll zoom out and see. Oh, look at that. There's the USB drive. So it looks like there's no issues. Again, when I say that, I am going over these issues. So if you guys see this, I want you to know you're not the only ones. I'll test this. So if I can reproduce it, I'll tell you. But if you're having this, I'll try to help you, and I can reproduce this to see if we can't resolve this together. So that one, we can mark that one off. It might be just a fluke for that user. The next one is the startup disk not being selected install. And that was reported being that it was going into an install loop. The user clicked install on the release candidate, it rebooted, but it was stuck in a restart loop. What he mentioned that he did was he held down Option to reach the startup manager, and then was able to select Macintosh hard drive and then boot back into the OS and try again. So I want to show you a quick tip on that. If you want to select the default hard drive, let's say you have multiple boot hard drives, you can actually select the default hard drive by holding down Control. It turns from an arrow to a circle with an arrow, and then you can actually select the default hard drive right from the startup selection menu. So that's a neat tip. So we'll select that one off. The next one is, a lot of people were asking with Boot Camp. Some people were saying that there was some compatibility issues with Boot Camp on the previous updates, and there's multiple people saying that Boot Camp is working just fine with no issues in release candidate beta 2. So that's great. We'll check mark that guy off here. So let's see. Let's make sure our Zoom's working here. The next thing that some users are reporting is some Spotlight crashes. So let's test that out. Let's see if we're having any kind of issues with Spotlight. We'll go Command Space, and that's a quick way to get Spotlight to come up. We'll search for Terminal. Looking okay. Let's try something else. Let's try BB Edit. And that looks like it's loading okay too. So it does not really seem like we have any Spotlight crashes on this side, but let me know in the comments, are you having any Spotlight crashes? Let me know, and maybe we can resolve that, because there's actually a couple things that I can help you guys out with. If Spotlight is crashing for you, we can clear out the Spotlight database and stuff like that and reset it. So I'll show you how to do that if you guys are having that issue. So we'll mark that bad boy off. Let's go to the next one. There were some users reporting issues with sidecar handoff and continuity issues. This guy was saying that anytime he tried to load Sidecar on his iPad, it would crash. He was able to resolve that by logging out of iCloud and logging back in. And remember, to use Sidecar and handoff, iCloud login is required on both pieces of hardware. So that's cool that he was able to resolve that. That's probably another fluke. Another reported issue is download slowness with the release candidate. Now keep in mind, iOS 14.2 and iPadOS were released today, along with a supplemental update for Catalina and obviously the release candidate for Big Sur. So the content delivery network I'm guessing, is probably a little bit overloaded today. It'll probably be better tomorrow once most people got the update when they needed it. Especially when people have automatic updates enabled, they're automatically going to start downloading it to all these devices. So hopefully that is just a fluke for today. We'll mark that one off too. Some users are reporting iPod audio issues again, and if you remember in my previous video, I talked about this, and I mentioned, and we'll go back into that real quick so you can see this. Some users were mentioning that once the update was complete, their AirPods would either be marked all the way over here to the right or all the way over here to the left, and all they needed to do to fix it is bring it back into the middle, and they were getting the sound working again. So I do not know for sure if that's happening in the release candidate or not. Let me know if you see that as an issue, but at least we're able to get that fixed. This person mentioned though that they had to reset their AirPods and reset the PRAM to fix the issue. I don't know if you got to go that far. You can probably just reset the iPods if you're having, but he mentioned it was stuck in mono. But again, maybe the slider bar was moved over and he was only hearing it out of one ear. So keep that in mind if you have any issues with AirPod. We'll mark that bad boy off. The last issue that was reported was that the date and time was grayed out. I don't have that, but let's take a look at where the date and time settings are. They've changed locations. They've actually moved to the dock and menu bar in Big Sur now. So let's scroll down and pull up the clock, and you can see right here what it looks like. November 5th, and there's the time, and mine's not great. And I tried to go in here and move some of these and turn some of these on and off, trying to toggle that, but that sounds like a fluke. And what that guy should have done is maybe did the same thing, turned a couple of these off, moved it, and cycled them on. Sometimes that'll get an unstuck thing like that's not working properly working again. So that's a little tip there. And that's it for user reported issues that I've been able to find so far. And keep in mind, we're only 9 hours after release here, so there's going to be more that'll come in. I'm going to update the article, and again, if you want to see the latest information, keep an eye on this article. I always put up right here at the top the latest information that comes in multiple days after. New information is always coming in. Let's jump right into neat information that was just released. My buddy Martin Noble, look what he found. He is amazing at digging into all the updates and the ISPWs and finding all kinds of cool information. I'm going to put a link to his Twitter and his YouTube in the comments because he's a great person to follow. He's got some awesome stuff. So look what he found though. He found the release candidate of Big Sur. It updates the firmware lock screen. Look at this. This is a brand new icon. It also is updated the flashing folder icon. It's changed this. The Apple logo does look pretty much the same, but look what also has changed. The internet recovery icon. He found that in there too. And he found a new site, which is support.apple.com Mac Startup. So let's go to that. Look at this. It resolves. But what's interesting is that this is the Intel stuff. So I'm wondering if they're going to put anything that's related to Apple Silicon in here. That's pretty cool. And I verified that too on this particular machine. I did reboot to the firmware lock screen, and I turned that on to make sure that was working. And sure enough, it was a new icon. How cool is that? So kudos to Martin Noble for finding that information and noticing that they're going to be pointing to this Apple support document if there's a problem with the startup. So instead of just this is not the new logo. That's what it used to look like here. And again, you can see the difference here, what that's going to look like. So they're probably going to update that quickly here. And instead of the user just seeing the question mark and thinking, what the heck's wrong? It'll point them to this site, and then they can click on this document. So that's a nice little thing that Apple has done to try to help users when they're coming into this issue here. These beta release videos that I've been putting out, and this very well might be the last one. The next one that's going to come out is 11.0.1 production, and I'm going to cover every single release that they have. And I hope that me digging into all these interesting issues and stuff like that has helped bring value to you. That's my whole point of these videos, to bring value to you. And if that's what you've taken back from it, I hope that you can subscribe so you can hear more of these informational videos in the future, talking about Big Sur, Apple Silicon, Intel Macs, Catalina, Mojave, all those. And iOS too. You can see that I'm jumping right into iOS too, because there's a lot of interesting information to take care of there too. So anyway, catch you in the next video. Talk to you guys soon.